All right, yo, let's try this out. So, I've been trying to launch this YouTube channel for a very long time. It's actually kind of embarrassing how long I've been trying to do this, and it has just been super difficult to basically break the ice. That first video, that for whatever reason feel like it has to be perfect because you're launching into something new and all that kind of stuff. And I finally decided that the best way to go about this is to just post. To no edits, don't do anything, just talk, and publish, and just let the chips fall where they may. And so that's what I'm going to do, and I hope that y'all will bear with me here. So in this video, I want to just introduce myself, and then from there, we'll get to it. So my name is Kyle James Howard. I am an historical theologian and a trauma-informed soul care provider. I currently hold 3 seminary degrees. I have an associate's in biblical and theological studies, a bachelor's in Christian counseling. Both of those degrees I graduated with honors, magna cum laude. I also hold a master's with a concentration in historical theology, specifically focused on the North African Church Fathers as well as the Reformation era. For the past several years, well, let me take a step back here and say this. So, going back to when I first started seminary, my ambition was to pastor as well as pursue the realm of scholarship. My primary ambition was absolutely pastoring, but second to that, I wanted to write books of academic books on history and theology and all that kind of stuff. However, over the course of my various degree programs, my family experienced various degrees of spiritual abuse and racial trauma as we sought to navigate both the evangelical church as well as seminary contexts. We ultimately decided that for our own health, we needed to flee. We moved back home, we left that space, and I decided after years of recovery and healing that I needed to reorient my ambitions and ministry, more or less. And so what I decided to do was begin focusing on my counseling ministry and begin specifically focusing on providing care for ethnic minorities who had to survive white evangelical spaces. I ultimately thought that I didn't want anyone to have to go through what me and my family went through alone. And so I decided that if there was anything that I could do that to help those who had similar experiences process through and heal from those experiences, that's what I wanted to devote my life to. For the past several years, that has been what I've devoted my life to. Several years ago, I decided to launch a Patreon where my Patreon supporters would cover the cost of me to provide free trauma-informed care to ethnic minority survivors. And so for years, that's what I've been doing. Yes, for those who are able to pay, they've paid for care. And then for the majority, I've been able to provide free trauma-informed soul care to them by virtue of my Patreon support. And it's been such a gift and such a blessing to have the opportunity to do that. I want to be clear, I'm not a licensed therapist. My work is more pastoral. But for the past several years, I've largely worked alongside and in partnership with clinical therapists to ensure that my counselees receive comprehensive care. And so while I, as a trauma-informed soul care provider, would help them process through the theological and spiritual dimensions of their trauma, I would typically be partnered with a clinical therapist as they help them process through the neurological and psychological dimensions of their complex trauma. And that's been my life for the past several years. And the reason why I launched this channel was because after doing a survey of, I guess, YouTube and looking at all the various Christian channels on here, there was a couple things that stood out. One was that there wasn't many that were done by minorities. Many of them were channels that were kind of focused on kind of an evangelical framework of understanding the Bible and doctrines and everything else. There wasn't, and even the ones that were minorities are largely assimilated, talking about evangelical theology and all those things. What I decided that I wanted to do was provide a resource for those who are trying to process through the ways in which such theological and cultural frameworks have actually wounded them and have caused profound harm. There's a movement right now amongst evangelicals, specifically white evangelicals, of deconstruction. And I have no shade for that movement beyond the fact that that movement largely is centered on deconstructing from one expression of white theology into other expressions of white theology without much regard for people of color or African Americans. And so what I would like to do is, and what I have been doing for years now, is focus not only on the dynamic of helping survivors of spiritual abuse deconstruct toxic theologies and cultures that contributed to that. I also help ethnic minorities in the process of decolonization, of trying to break down the various theological and cultural frameworks that are grounded within a kind of a colonial theology or an oppressive theological framework. And so that's what you're going to find here on this channel. It's not just a channel where I'm going to be talking about dynamics of deconstruction. It's a channel where the focus is more going to be on decolonization. I want to be clear here. All are welcome, but the primary target audience for this YouTube channel are going to be ethnic minority survivors who are wanting to process through their experiences and process through the various theological and ideological cultural frameworks that contributed to the experiences that they've had within Christian spaces. And so, again, all are welcome, but that's going to be the target audience. I don't know if I'm going to leave my comments on. I struggle with that because for the past several years, because of the nature of my work, there's been a lot of hostility. I've been doxxed. I've received death threats. There's YouTube channels. You may not want to do this, but if you want to have fun, you can type my name in the search and you'll see that there are entire channels that have been devoted to kind of discrediting me or criticizing my work, and those kinds of things, and this crazy stuff out there. And so I don't know if I'm going to open up my channel for the comments. I would like to build a community here, but at the same time, I am keenly aware that because my work deals with the intersection of spiritual abuse and racial trauma, that my comment section can get toxic very, very quick. And I would like for this space to be a space where ethnic minorities can come, receive resources towards their healing and processing without having to be triggered through a comment section. And so we'll see how that plays out, but I kind of want to brace y'all for that I tend to attract a lot of hostility, largely from white Christians, due to the nature of my work. And so we'll see what happens. But what I've been wanting to do, and for a while now, is launch this channel. My framework or my mindset for this channel is largely wanting to provide resources that I can refer my own counselees to. And so a lot of this is going to be very conversational, but I wanted to have a channel where I talk about various themes and things that I can just refer them back to, or they can refer back to. And so I'm going to be engaging as if I'm doing my work. And so, again, white Christians are more than welcome to observe and engage to a degree, but I just want to be clear who the target audience is. And the target audience for this YouTube channel are going to be ethnic minorities, and more specifically ethnic minority survivors who are trying to process through their various dynamics of faith and pursue healing to various degrees. And so that's what it is. I hope this came out in a way that is understandable because I ain't editing this joint, yo. I'm just gonna turn off this camera. I'm gonna post, get that whole introductory video thing out of the way so that we can actually jump in and actually start talking about some stuff. So I look forward to that. Stay tuned. Thank you for your time. Thank you for watching this. If anybody does, grace and peace.